All right, so I'm going to walk you through the steps of what I go through when I do a roof inspection, including the measurements of the roof, the inspection of how many layers, any sort of clues that might cue us into whether there was a storm that created some issues on the roof, whether we can do some repairs, or maybe we need to file an insurance claim and get a new roof put on through an insurance claim. Come on, Trig. So one thing we're going to look for is the soft metal vent areas. These are made out of aluminum, and as you can see, there's been extensive damage from storm, hail, probably a hailstorm in this instance, that has beat up this vent. The other vents on the roof are the same. That tells me that there has been a storm through here. There indeed is an issue with storm-related damage. So if we swing around over here, we'll see that there's an area where the T-lock shingles are missing. This is most likely wind damage. It could be from the same storm or a different weather event. It's kind of hard to tell. Now these are older T-lock shingles. They're not extremely worn out, but they don't make these shingles anymore. So we are not able to come up here and patch that one shingle in because we can't buy another shingle to patch it with. So what we have here is a scenario of an insurance claim where the insurance adjuster would be called, a claim would be filed. The adjuster will come out here and look at this and see the same thing that we're seeing right now. And they will pay to have this roof stripped off, dried in, and re-roofed, because even if there's just one shingle missing, it can't be replaced. So the laws of insurance are such that the roof will be replaced with new shingles. This is not the only wind damage on this particular roof. If we go over here, we'll see that at the edge of the roof, which is where wind damage typically gets started, we probably have half a dozen wind damaged shingles over in that area. This appears to be a modular type home that's probably been moved in here, and a lot of times with a modular home you'll find things like a lot of vents, for one thing. You'll find some unique types of vents like these in this area of the roof over here. They're kind of a mushroom-shaped vent. You'll also find some unique skylights that create some flashing challenges, but this is a very typical type of roof that we can create an insurance claim and get this thing fixed right up for this homeowner. Okay, so we have obvious hail damage here on this aluminum vent, and you can see the ping marks on here. So this leads to the question, was the hail bad enough to damage the shingles as well? So obviously the next step is to inspect the shingles. So we start looking around at the roof. Now, hail hits are subtle, okay? The hailstone hits, and it doesn't just leave a hole in the roof. It actually just breaks the fiberglass mat that's in the middle of the shingle. And initially, it only looks like a scuff mark. If you rub that, sometimes the granules will just fall off of that spot because they've been loosened up by the hailstone hit. Here's another spot right here. As you look, you see this little mottled craters where the shingle's been hit by a hailstone. Here's another one. Now what happens, right now that's not going to start leaking, but in 2 or 3 years where the stone hit, the granules will slough off with rain and wind into the rain gutter probably, and it'll leave an asphalt circle with no protection from ultraviolet rays. And that circle will then rot out and create leaking 2 or 3 years down the road when it's too late to then file an insurance claim. So what we have up here at the ridge, and a ridge cap is a good spot to look for hail damage because it's the highest point on the roof and it gets hit the hardest. It's also usually kind of hollow underneath there, so a hit has more of a profound effect. So here we see a spot that's probably been hit by a hailstone and has rotted away because the granules have sloughed off and left nothing but the asphalt to rot in the sun. And that could start leaking any day and it needs to be dealt with. So when I get on a roof, there's several things that I look for immediately. One, I want to know how many layers of shingles are on a roof. And I usually go to a valley or an eave or somewhere and I try to lift it up and take a good inspection of that. I haven't done that yet, but I have a feeling there's 1 or 2 layers on this roof, and I'll find that out before I leave. The next thing I like to do is figure out what the slope of the roof is. And really what's most important is whether the roof is walkable safely, as this one is, or if it's too steep to walk on and we have to have extra safety equipment on that type of a roof. So that's pretty obvious, but when it comes to a more specific roof pitch, I have this gauge that I carry with me, and you simply put this on the roof and rotate it until the level bubble comes into the center. And then if you can zoom in, you can see that this is a 312 pitch roof. It's basically a low slope type of a roof. That it's still a safety issue because people can, workers can fall off of this roof, but it's not as much of a safety issue as a steep 2-story roof. That will affect the way that the job is bid and the way the insurance company will pay for it. And then the final thing that I need to do on every inspection is to just get all the dimensions and measurements of the roof, and I'll do a drawing for that. Are we getting a shadow in this shot? Are we gonna have to retake this?